Welcome back to the Masterclass, everyone. I am your Master Coach, and today we are diving deep into this elite explainer. We're tackling what is, without a doubt, one of the most notoriously difficult and heavily weighted topics within the Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706 syllabus. We're talking about partnership changes, and specifically, the absolute minefield that is the change in profit-sharing ratio. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I know how to do a basic ratio calculation, I need you to pause and reframe right now. This specific topic isn't just about punching numbers into a calculator. It demands absolute, razor-sharp precision. It requires a rock-solid grasp of underlying accounting mechanics, and most importantly, it requires you to deploy deep conceptual understanding while under immense, nerve-wracking time pressure.
Look, I'm not just hyping this up to scare you. What you're seeing here isn't just a casual observation. It is a literal warning shot directly from the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. The examiners themselves explicitly state that changes in profit-sharing ratios represent one of the most misunderstood areas in accounting. Let that sink in for a second. Students all over the world are consistently walking right into a trap here. And you know what the crazy part is? They often lose major marks not because they don't know basic math or because they messed up addition or subtraction. No, they hemorrhage marks due to a fundamental, structural misunderstanding of the theoretical architecture behind why these changes are happening in the first place. Examiners are literally begging candidates to look past the surface-level calculations.
So this brings us to a massive, critical question we have to answer today. Why? Why do otherwise brilliant students find applying these core concepts to unfamiliar, fictional contexts so incredibly hard? Well, it's like a giant puzzle. It is one thing to sit in your room and comfortably memorize textbook journal entries for goodwill or to passively read about capital revaluations. But it is an entirely different beast to take those established principles, those causal relationships, and precise definitions, and actively apply them to a completely unique, highly complex business scenario that you have never seen before. To secure those top-tier elite grades, we absolutely have to shift our brains away from passive memorization and step up into active, high-level evaluation.
To get you to that top tier, here is the exact architectural blueprint for today's explainer. We're starting with the examiner's lens, then we'll break down a peer deconstruction debate, look closely at roadblocks and method marks, dive into a fast-paced interactive workshop, and finally, lock it all in with a strategy recap. Let's get straight to it.
Act 1. The examiner's lens and command word anatomy.
Okay, I need you to lean in and pay close attention here, because understanding this distinction is a real game changer. There is a massive, fundamental difference between the command words analyze and evaluate. When you're facing those complex, high-tariff questions, the ones worth anywhere from 9 to a massive 15 marks, this is where the battle is won or lost. If a prompt asks you to analyze a change in a profit-sharing ratio, your mission is to extract the hard data and interpret the causal relationships. You're explaining the mechanics, like calculating the precise financial impact on a retiring partner versus a continuing partner. That's analysis. But evaluate? Oh, evaluate is a whole different ballgame. Evaluate demands that you step back, compare different approaches, identify the hidden limitations in the data, or question the assumptions made regarding goodwill valuation. You literally have to provide justified, evidence-based recommendations. Analyzing gets you halfway up the mountain, but evaluating is the only way to unlock those highest elite mark bands.
Act 2. The peer conversation and deconstruction debate. Let me take you behind the scenes of a digital study suite session I recently hosted. Imagine two students. Let's call them Alex and Sam. They were staring down a brutal 15-mark question, and they represent the two sides of your brain during an exam. We were looking at the strict marking framework. Assessment objectives AO1 for knowledge, AO2 for analysis, and AO3 for evaluation. Now, Alex is incredibly technical. Alex immediately wanted to dive into AO1, pure factual breadth. Alex started frantically crunching numbers, calculating old versus new ratios, isolating the goodwill, and aggressively adjusting the capital accounts. Alex thought, if I show them I know the math, I get the marks, right? But Sam, who is our conceptual thinker, hit the brakes. Sam argued, and rightly so, that while AO1 and AO2 are essential, securing those highly coveted AO3 marks requires analytical depth, not just factual breadth. You have to integrate your pristine calculations with other syllabus areas. You have to demonstrate cross-topic connections. The principal examiner reports explicitly state that making these cross-topic evaluations is exactly how you achieve significantly higher marks. So inside this study suite, Sam basically starts correcting Alex's purely factual approach, mapping out the exact criteria needed to hit that evaluative level. Sam says, look, to truly evaluate if this new profit-sharing ratio is fair to all the partners, we have to meet strict comparative analysis requirements. First, you must identify both similarities and differences in the partner's shifting positions. It's not enough to just say someone's capital went up. Second, you have to force yourself to use comparative connectives, words like whereas, conversely, or nevertheless. It sounds simple, but it visually signals to the examiner that you are weighing two sides. Third, and this is where Alex usually shines, you must support every single comparative point with hard numerical evidence extracted from your own calculations. Don't just give an opinion, back it up with the data. And finally, you have to draw evidence-based contextual conclusions about the assumptions the business is making in the specific scenario.
Act 3, roadblocks and method marks. But actually, pause for just a quick second. Before we look at the exact procedural framework to get you unstuck when the clock is ticking, if you are finding this deep dive valuable, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at handle @acetheexam_IGCSE. Make sure you enable all notifications by clicking that bell icon so you literally never miss a weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategy like this one. Okay, let's get back to Alex and Sam's roadblock.
So Alex and Sam are actively drafting their model response on screen, paragraph by paragraph, but suddenly they hit a massive roadblock. The clock is ruthlessly ticking down, panic sets in, and their essay structure starts completely falling apart. It becomes disjointed. This is exactly where I had to step in and pause their session to introduce a standardized procedural framework. When your brain freezes, you lean on these 5 steps. Step 1, identify key elements. Scan the prompt and spot the specific assets being revalued. Step 2, apply relevant principles. Mentally retrieve the rules of, say, goodwill adjustment without maintaining a goodwill account. Step 3, execute your analysis with crystal clear working. Step 4, verify your results. Take a breath and ask, do the capital accounts actually balance? And Step 5, present it all in the appropriate standardized format. By rigidly sticking to this framework, you completely eliminate the panic and create a totally streamlined thought process.
And here is why that structured approach is an absolute lifesaver. This brings us to our highly strategic cognitive concept, the method mark strategy. I want to relieve some of your exam anxiety right now. Cambridge examiners actively award marks for the process, for your structured reasoning, and for your clear working. They are not just blindly hunting for a single flawless final number. If you happen to make a silly maths error early in the paper, but you follow the correct procedural sequence using your flawed figure, you can still pick up the vast majority of the marks through what's called the own figure rule. When I explained this to Alex and Sam, you could physically see the relief. We watched them seamlessly rewrite their panicked, disjointed section into a flawless, full-mark response purely by emphasizing the absolute necessity of clear annotation and logical flow in their calculations.
Act 4. It is time for our interactive pause and practice visual workshop. I want you speaking directly back to the screen in your head here. Let's set a 60-second mental timer. I am going to reveal the top 3 catastrophic reoccurring mistakes pulled directly from Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. These are the exact traps that wipe out candidates' grades year after year when dealing with partnership changes.
Let's systematically dissect these pitfalls together. Imagine you're looking at a poorly written student answer. Can you spot the flaws? Mistake number 1 is giving vague answers. If a student writes, "The partner's capital changed because of the new ratio," that is way too descriptive and completely lacks depth. The solution? You must provide specific details. Specify exactly which partner gained, which partner lost, and by what exact monetary amount based on the data you extracted. Mistake number 2 is poor presentation. Remember, practical application develops professional accounting skills. You have to use proper headings, the correct industry terminology, and the standard accepted formats for your capital accounts. If you don't, examiners will absolutely penalize you for it. And finally, mistake number 3, generic context. This is, without a doubt, the deadliest trap of them all.
In fact, we need an official examiner alert for this one, because it's the ultimate climax rule of the syllabus. The deadliest, most classic mistake is providing generic, textbook answers that are completely detached from the specific question context. You literally cannot just regurgitate memorized textbook definitions about why profit-sharing ratios change in a vacuum. You have to actively ask yourself, why are these specific partners in this specific fictional business changing their ratio right now? Is one of them retiring? Is a new partner bringing in specialized skills or extra capital? Every single evaluative point you make, every alternative interpretation you offer, and every limitation you identify must cross-link directly back to the given scenario. That contextual link is non-negotiable for top marks.
Act 5. The strategy recap.
So wrapping up that session, Alex and Sam had some massive personal breakthroughs, especially regarding how vital structured presentation and those contextual links really are. To ensure you can replicate their top-tier success in your own exams, let's synthesize this entire explainer down into 3 core, memorable pillars. Number 1, the 3-step question scan. The moment you open the paper, immediately identify the command word, isolate the exact content knowledge required, and pinpoint the hidden contextual constraints. Number 2, the paragraph balance formula. Make absolutely sure that every single analytical point you write uses comparative connectives backed up by hard, specific data extracted from the text. And number 3, the last 5 minutes review checklist. Use those final ticking minutes to verify your presentation formats, check your headings, and explicitly guarantee that you have linked your justified recommendations right back to the unique scenario.
I want to leave you with this provocative final thought. How will you adapt your own strategy to actually integrate these core principles into the very next past paper you write? Because listening is great, but active application is the only true way to master this material. Trust the procedural frameworks, rigorously link your accounting mechanics to the real-world context of the scenario, and go claim those top marks. Remember, crushing Cambridge exams requires a consistent elite strategy. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for AC Exams IGCSE O&A levels at @ACVM_IGCSE, turn on the notification bell for future exam hacks, and drop a comment below telling us your target grade. Keep grinding, and I'll see you in the next explainer.